What's up, everyone? This is Raphael Garcia here, and it is Friday, October 4th, 2019, and this is the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast, episode number 33. And boy, do we have quite a bit to talk about. And I'm not going to lie, when I was working on the agenda for this show, this episode, I was really excited about what was going on in the world of professional wrestling. But all of that has been sucked out of my body, and it's all because of the way SmackDown Live just ended. Not even gonna lie. It's Friday. Obviously, today was the introduction of SmackDown moving from USA to Fox, which was a spectacular spectacle within its own right. But that show ended with Kofi Kingston losing the title to Brock Lesnar in 9 seconds. Ran across the mat, ran across the ring, F5, 1, 2, 3. Then Cain Velasquez comes out. We have a little scuffle. That's basically how it ends with them staring down each other, Lesnar and Cain. If you don't know who Cain Velasquez is the first man who defeated Brock Lesnar. Actually, no, he's not the first man who defeated Brock Lesnar. He's the third guy who did. I forgot he lost a couple other times, but he's the man who defeated Brock Lesnar for the UFC title more than a decade ago. Um, well, almost more than a decade ago. That fight occurred, I think, in maybe 2011. But yeah, Kofi Kingston lost the belt in 10 seconds. I mean, he held it. I don't know. Man, I the minute this match was announced, I knew something. I knew he was going to lose that belt. I was hoping he wouldn't, but I knew he was going to lose that title. Um, you would hope that that wouldn't be the case, but that's how it went down. As the show went on today, I was hoping, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll see something different here. But no, that's not the case. That fight against Cain Velasquez happened at UFC 121 on October 3rd, 2010, where Cain Velasquez won first round TKO. But we have so much to talk about today. I wanted to talk about AEW, their first show. I was in attendance for that in DC. I wanted to talk about NXT on USA, talk about some of the ratings and stuff like that we saw coming out of this. But man, I am just stunned by what happened to Kofi here. And it's interesting because if you look at how people are responding to it on Twitter, a large portion of the black wrestling Twitter space, the individuals who watch and often commentate, are having the same reaction. Like, what the hell? Why did it have to go down like that? You did not have to do that to get the King and Brock. I mean, you had Seth Rollins, who was injured, kick out of what, four F5s to get the win? So, yeah, I mean, there's so many questions here. Then you got questions about Cain Velasquez and the UFC. What's his contract status there? Did they buy him out? Did something else happen? I mean, there's so many questions. I think Brett Okamoto was talking on Twitter as well, saying that there's going to be an update on ESPN tonight. And wow, wait a minute, saying that let me see. Brett Okamoto was saying that Cain Velasquez and Marco Mondi, one of these two, whatever, was saying that there's going to be an update there tonight. So I'll keep an eye on what's going on there. But let's talk some wrestling, man, because there's so much to really talk about here from this past week. I want to start with AEW Dynamite. I attended the show live. Me and a bunch of my friends got a suite to watch the show, and it was an awesome show. Like, I'm sure at this point, if you're listening to this podcast, you've probably heard a lot about the show already. I'm not going to kind of harp on everything that went down. But I enjoyed the show from start to finish. It was probably there for we got the show opened up at 7:30. I think they had a dark match. Then they had three dark matches afterwards. I think I left there probably about 11 something. I think I got home about 11:30. But it was a good show from start to finish. The crowd was hot for everything. The crowd was hot. The presentation looked good. I liked how their stage looked. I'm planning on rewatching it There were segments that I did not like though, and we're going to talk about some of those. But most of the stuff, like 80% of the show, I definitely enjoyed. 80-20% easily. Cody versus Sammy Guevara, however you say his name. Not too familiar with Sammy, but this was a good match. Cody's style of wrestling is more storytelling based, and of course he did all of that. I mean, it was good. They had people hooked. The minute his music hit, people were hyped. You could tell he had the energy of just like nervous excitement in his body when he came out to the ring. So everything looked good. Everything, the presentation of that was great. Didn't like the little portion with Brandy. That's old school wrestling there. Not necessarily my cup of tea using her as a prop to get to the finish. But either way, it was a good match. I enjoyed it from start to finish. And yeah, Cody gets the win there. We have the segment. I didn't like the beatdown with uh, Chris Jericho. It was kind of funny to watch, but I understand that was going on through a commercial break. So that happened, and everybody's kind of watched, from the side. But yeah, it was definitely something. It was definitely something to see. Cody gets the win. He gets to keep his title shot against Chris Jericho, and they kind of built to that angle throughout the rest of the show, even after the show as well. We also had Rhea versus Nyla Rose. This stole the show to me. Um, like the crowd was hyped for this. Like it was a slow build too. The crowd was excited from the very start, but as the match went on, it just got more and more out of control. Sitting where I was sitting, it was awesome to get to look down and see all the people pumping their fists, jumping up and down out of their seats. So it was pretty active, and everybody was definitely into the match, and everybody was turned on. Seeing Riho get the win, at first I was thinking that they were going to put the title on Nyla Rose. I thought that she was going to be in a position to kind of be the monster heel there. I am listening to a lot of people talk about the spots that Nyla missed and how she just isn't quite ready for that position yet, and I get it. Maybe she isn't, but she definitely like she. I think she's lost three straight matches now at this point, so she can't continuously be in title contention. So it'll be interesting to see what they do to build her back up. But this was a great match. In my opinion, it's probably one of the top two matches of the night. I love the match with Pac and Adam Page. We're going to talk about that in a second as well too. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed this match much more than I thought I would. So I have no complaints about that. But again, this was definitely a good match between these two women. They went out there and tore it up. I want to see what it looked like from a presentation standpoint on television, but live in the arena, there's nothing I would definitely change. We had Pac versus Adam Page. I mean, I am a huge Pac mark. Anything this guy can do, I get hyped for it. Even when the match started, I was pumped up to see everything that he had to do in the ring. I am still not sold on Adam Page, and it's interesting with the way he's been booked the last few days. I'm not saying AEW isn't sold on him either, but he's definitely, he lost to Jericho in the title match. He lost to Pac here, but it is what it is. Um, it is what it is, and this was a great match to me. I think Pac is being built up like a major monster here. I don't think they can put the title on him yet because they got to keep it on Jericho for a little while to see what kind of happens from there. I don't think they're going to put it on Cody either. But I do see Pac being a champion sometime in the future. Like this dude he's over. He looks the part. It's amazing. This is the same guy that WWE tried to package and stuff into the cruiserweight division. Where as a heel, what he's been able to do over the last 2 years, he's been booked as one of the biggest stars in the sport, and he kind of delivers in that way too as well. So it'll be interesting to see how they push him and what position they put him in because this dude is a star. He has the look. He just he exudes. I'm the biggest heel in the division, and I get hyped up every time I see him. Like I said, I'm a pockmark. In my opinion, the dude can't do anything wrong. Then we got the main event. Did we miss anything between the main event? I can't remember if there was anything between the main event and the match with Pac and Page, but to be honest, I wasn't too into the main event. I'm glad I got to see LAX because I wasn't too familiar with their work before. I have I remember watching LAX when they first got started. This iteration of them I wasn't too familiar with. Let me see if I can find some information about them real quick. Let me see something because I am not. Yeah, like I remember them from like the Homicide and Hernandez days. The current version of them, I'm not too familiar with. But the fans were hyped for them. They looked good on Tuesday or Wednesday. Definitely looked good. They look like they fit in. I want to see more of them now. Watching them wrestle on Wednesday makes me want to kind of go back and look at some of the stuff they've done in the past. But I was pleased with seeing them in the ring. But overall, I wasn't too interested in the main event. I'm just not hyped. I'm just not hyped for some of the stuff we see with I'm not a big Young Bucks fan. Their style just doesn't really do it for me. Kenny Omega, I am a fan of. I like his ability to tell stories in the ring. I like everything about him exudes star professional wrestler. So I love Kenny Omega. Jericho is Jericho. It is what it is. But this match, it wasn't what I was looking forward to the most. I was more interested in the Pocket Adam Page match. But what I will say, so the fight between John Moxley and Kenny Omega was excellent in the actually being there in the Capital One Center. People were hyped for it. When you saw Moxley win in, the crowd went nuts. Again, this is something I want to see on TV because I've seen the video. I've seen some of the visuals of it and some of those clips. The camera work I'm hearing is very good. I've seen some of the clips so far, and I do look forward to looking and watching this match live as well too. This piece of the match, but the Jack Swagger, no, I'm sorry, he doesn't do it for me. I wasn't a fan of him in WWE. I'm not a fan of him in MMA. He has that he exudes like a MAGA Kobe Covington type of character. And again, while people are allowed to have whatever political beliefs that they want to have, I don't want to see that type of behavior promoted to such a high level. I mean, because it's okay, you can say whatever you want to say, be whoever you want to be, do whatever he wants to do, but still, like, when you promote that type of behavior, that type of hateful behavior, I'm just not a fan of that. But it is what it is. I think he said he. Let me take a step back. He's being presented as a huge monster in AEW, and you could even see from where we were sitting that he's massive compared to everyone else that was in the ring, and that is very true. I mean, you do kind of need that big, huge dude that can just look like a beast, and they have Luchasaurus, but he's not in that position yet. That's what makes him look so special in AEW. They're presenting him as some big time MMA star when in reality, he's had two fights, and those fights are like against my Uber driver. And yeah, it's like this is none of that is good at all. So I don't even take him seriously as someone who teaches MMA and someone who participates in MMA. I'm just not a fan. I'm just not a fan of Jake Hager. I'm sorry, it doesn't make me want to watch it doesn't make me want to watch the next week. I'm sorry, I'm still kind of rattled about what I saw today on SmackDown. We're gonna get to that in a second, but as I said, I'm sure everyone has heard what the wide thoughts of about AEW were from Wednesday. It was a good match. 80% I loved it. The dark matches, Pentagon and Phoenix, I will always pop for those guys. They teamed with Private Party against Angelico and Jack Evans and Best Friends. They got the win. Who else? Luchasaurus is super over, super over. Like the crowd was chanting for him all night, and when his music hit, people lost their shit, and he came out there with Jungle Boy. I like that visual of him carrying Jungle Boy out. Um, the other guy, who was the other guy? I can't remember his name right now, but I'm just like, what the hell is he doing running around there? But whatever. Luchasaurus is over. He's gonna be a big star. The one thing that kind of stood out to me from the dark matches was the women's match. It was Bea Priestley and Penelope Ford against Allie and Britt Baker. I can't tell any of these women apart except for Bea Priestley because she has dark hair. The rest of them all look just alike to me, and yeah, I feel some type of way about that. Not in a sense where I none of them stand out to me that makes me want to watch them more. Riho, I'll watch her more. Nyla Rose, I watch her more. Awesome Kong, Aja Kong, the ones that stand out to me make you want to sit there and watch. But these four women, I was just like, it is what it is. Even Sadie Gibbs, she's gonna be there, and she's a little bit different just because her body type and her work style is different. She's more power based. But she kind of looks like the rest of them too, white woman with blonde hair, so or brown hair, whatever it may be. This women's match wasn't good in my opinion, but it is what it is, and I hate to say that because oftentimes if you say something like that about women's wrestling, you're not seeing it in such a positive light. But that's neither here nor there. It just wasn't a great match to me, and I am not a big fan of what we saw from these four ladies. But it was a dark match. They got their time out there in the fan scene to and enjoy it. As I said, AEW was a great show. The crowd was crazy. Like when I got around to Capital One Stadium about 7:30. There were streets blocked off because there were so many people out in the street waiting in line. They had everybody waiting outside for like the visual impact of what that would look like on camera. So there was that, but there was so many people out there. It was pretty awesome, and I enjoyed it from start to finish. So that takes me to the other show that was on that night, and that is NXT on USA. So um, this was their first show on their first 2 hour show all on USA, and this show was good. I watched it on Hulu this morning, last night. I can't remember. I watched it on Hulu, but it has some great moments. It's off what I'm hearing. People and I'm listening like Sean Ross Sapp, Warren Hayes, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of people are talking that this show was overall better from a wrestling standpoint compared to AEW, but AEW definitely presented much larger, which is very true. Sitting back and watching both. Riddle versus Cole was a match of the night on either show. They tore it up. Matt Riddle getting defeated. I don't think it hurt him too much just because of the way they lost, and they've kind of booked him as to be pretty strong, even if he takes an L. But it's it was a good match. I enjoyed it. I'll probably go back and watch it again. Then you had the return of Finn Balor, and he's officially back in NXT. My opinion on that is still up in the air. I think it's a good move for him because he was clearly lost on whatever brand he was going to be on. There wasn't enough space for him, and they were not going to do that angle with him and the Bullet Club. It just seemed that's one of the things that they just seem not to be ready to give us quite yet. But it is. I'm intrigued in seeing what he can do with Matt Riddle, what he can do with Velveteen Dream, what he can do with Adam Cole, Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, all the other people that are on NXT. It'll be interesting to see what he can do with them and what his position will be when he returns there. Then we had Velveteen Dream segment, hilarious, especially his line about taking on more than one man at a time. That was pretty funny. Drew Gulak versus Leo Rush and Walter versus Kushida is next week. Definitely want to sit down and watch those. Candice LeRae versus Shayna Baszler. I thought this was a great fight. I liked a great match. I liked the rear naked choke spot where Candice rolled through and tried to lock on a rear naked choke on Shayna. That was pretty interesting. I don't like the fact that they had Candice tap out. She should have just went out in the choke. But all in all, this was a good match here. I don't know how to get that belt off of Shayna. She is she's been dominant. She's going to remain dominant. I wonder if they're going to keep Rhea Ripley strong and make her the next title because then I can see them using her to take the belt off of Shayna. Sean Ross Sapp had a pretty good idea of sending Asuka and Kairi Sane back down and having Shayna beat Asuka. I think that would be huge. But I don't really know what's next for this women's division in NXT. And I do expect someone to come down and kind of add some life to that. Street Profits were there. Montez Ford was doing his thing. And as much as I hate the Street Profits gimmick, they're fucking super over. I hope that they finally get action on the main roster. I think they are going to, or not the main roster anymore. I think they are going to end up on Raw and or SmackDown. I would like to see them get some actual time in the ring. Montez Ford is bananas. When he hit that dive over the turnbuckle, I thought he broke his ankle when his foot hit the guardrail. Super over. Those guys are crazy, both of them, and I enjoy watching them work. I just hate that. I hate their gimmicks. I hate their red solo cups, whatever. But Wale wrapping them out to the cage was pretty, or wrapping them out to the ring was pretty cool too as well. The Tommaso Ciampa Adam Cole stare down, that was another good segment. I'm not sure where they're going to go with that next. Where can they go? Because it's like, who is the challenger for who is the challenger for Adam Cole first? And I mean, I really don't care. Finn or Ciampa can be excellent for that division. I'm just going to sit back and enjoy the ride. I think it's going to be some great wrestling. So that was the end of the show. And yesterday, the ratings came out, and NXT did an 891K rating, 891, and that was well below the 1.4 million of AEW. It was even worse. You look at the 18 to 49 demographic. 18 to 49, 400, basically 400K watched NXT, where you had nearly 900K watching AEW. So clearly, WWE has an age problem. They're not translating to people within a certain demographic, and it'll be interesting to see how they kind of try to fight against that. I don't look at AEW as like a cool option. I'm doing air quotes as if you could actually see me. I don't see them as a quote unquote cool option, but I guess the wrestling fan does. I don't know, but whatever they're doing is working. Let's see how these numbers look over 2-3 months down the line, because I do personally from a wrestling fan standpoint, I want to see more wrestling on NXT as opposed to AEW. There's just individuals there that I'm not interested in, but let's see what happens. Will do the best I can to watch both shows, but to me right now NXT is going to come first. The reaction has been pretty much what you expect. Wrestling Twitter has been disgusting. I haven't really even engaged in it lately because that's going to be out of control the next few days. WWE gave like a congratulatory statement to AEW, which I thought was kind of weird. It's like your best friend enemy coming to hug you. But they definitely they gave him a congratulatory message, I think today or Thursday. To me, like as I've been saying the last few weeks, this is probably the most exciting time in pro wrestling. We get to enjoy so much great wrestling. You just got to stay away from the toxic content. Do the best you can to ignore it and watch as much wrestling as you can and have fun. I wanted to go back to today's SmackDown episode and kind of give like a recap of my thoughts on that. Obviously, we had the opening segment where Becky Lynch came out first, Baron Corbin came out, said some junk, and then The Rock showed up. Everyone knew he was going to be there, and that's why everyone sat back and watched. The Rock still got it, man. People are tweeting, talking about he has one more match in him. I don't know if that's quite the case, but if he does, count me in to watch. I'm definitely going to sit down and watch that. They end up beating up Baron Corbin and send him about his way. The tag match comes Becky and Charlotte against Bayley and Sasha. Becky and Charlotte win when Charlotte gets the figure eight on Bayley. She taps. Watching this match and watching her segment with The Rock, there's no way in hell that Becky is losing that belt to Sasha on Sunday. No way. I'm sorry. She's just too over. No way in hell that is going down. We're going to end. We started out, we were in the summer where we had a point where we had so many people of color that were champions, and now we're going to end with just Shin. Because Sasha's not going to have a belt. Kofi just lost his. The Street Profits lost theirs. Velveteen Dream lost his. I mean, everybody is going to drop their titles left and right, and it's kind of sad. Um, that segment went by, and that was pretty good. Let me see something. Sorry about that. But the next segment we had was a New Day segment with I don't think it was Aaron Andrews. That is was what it was. I don't really kind of remember that too well. Then we had a moment with Seth versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Bray Wyatt cut in with the Firefly Funhouse. Then he cut in actually as the Fiend, doing the same old thing, attacking Seth. Threw him off the stage at the end, but you couldn't really see it because of the way the camera was set up. But that match kind of they've done that 3 times in a row, 4 times in a row now. Then came probably the moment of the night where Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon had their ladder match. This was originally supposed to be on Hell in a Cell, but it was a fantastic match. They hit all their high spots. It was kind of like a sprint. It was quick, but they hit all of their high spots. Shane gets fired when he gets power bombed on the ladder. He got power bombed on the ladder, and then Kevin climbed up, got the contract, and fired Shane. And he hit him with a stunner. After this, we got an 8-man tag: Braun Strowman versus The Miz and Heavy Machinery, with facing against Dolph Ziggler, Robert Roode, Randy Orton, and AJ Styles. Braun's team wins. The moment of this was Tyson Fury basically jumped through the barrier and tried to get in Roman's or Braun's face, which was it was typical Fox Sports stuff. No real complaints there. Then we had Roman Reigns versus Rowan in a lumberjack match, which wasn't bad. Basically a whole bunch of brawling. Basically a whole bunch of brawling, and you know how those lumberjack matches go. The face gets thrown out, the heels jump on him. The heel gets thrown out, the faces jump on him. Harper came out and he started cleaning house. Him and Rowan were cleaning house while people. Daniel Bryan was on the announce booth. He ran down to make the save, and it was pretty much a brawl there. Roman ended up winning. So that brought us to Lesnar versus Kofi, and I started the show talking about this. 7 seconds, was it 9 seconds in? 9 seconds. And yeah, all that was built up with Kofi being champion, probably the best book champion that we've seen in a long time. They didn't have to disrespect him to get that title off of him like this, because now where does he like? How do you recover from that? He's not getting a rematch, and if he does, he gets squashed again. I don't even know, how do you really recover from that? And not only does it impact him, but it impacts the New Day as well. So how do we like? What do we do about that? Oh man, I'm at a loss. I don't really know what to kind of say about that. I want to think about this. I'm probably going to end up writing about it this week, but that has such an impact across. all the people of color on that roster. Say what you want. You people can say I'm overreacting, et cetera, et cetera. But I think if they cut out to the crowd and Mark Henry's face was just like, what the hell? I wonder if he knew that this was how it was going to end. But yeah, that was just disappointing. That was very disappointing. Thank you for the 6 months that Kofi Kingston has been champion. Let me see, he got the belt on April 7th, I think. So thank you for the 6 months that you've been champion. You're still my champion, and yeah, man, Kofi Mania still lives long in me. I gotta get a shirt now that says it, but I am in total shock that that's how they decided to do him. Cain Velasquez, this doesn't make me want to see Cain. He is not, he has been looking great from a luchador standpoint in the work that he's been doing in AAA. Cody Rhodes was just talking about it the other day that he will be interested in bringing him into AEW. So I get what they're going for. I get it. I get it. But they didn't have to get there like this. Imagine if this is what they did to Sasha Banks on Sunday. People would be losing their mind. Imagine if Ronda Rousey squashed uh, Becky Lynch in the same way. That's what is people would be losing their damn mind. And yeah, I mean, I feel for him and I feel for the people of color that are on that roster because this is not how it had to go down. But that's neither here nor there. This is the end of episode 33 of Let's Talk Wrestling. My name is Raphael Garcia. You can catch me at rgarcia_sports. You can catch MMA ratings at MMA Ratings.net on Instagram and Twitter. Also go to MMAratings.net to see what we're talking about in the world of mixed martial arts. Please go to YouTube to like and share this episode. Subscribe there. You can catch us on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Anchor. I think I said that already. And Spotify. You can catch all of our episodes there. As usual, thank you for all your continued support. And everyone, this is a great time in professional wrestling. I'm a little heartbroken right now, but whatever. Enjoy this time. Don't argue with idiots on Instagram and Twitter. Just sit down, watch wrestling, and watch it in peace. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.